Я вернулась, и, как обещала, будем разговаривать
I'm back, and as I promised, we're going to speak about the industry which is related to each one of us, because we all have been in this industry due to different reasons, some for good reasons, some for bad reasons.
такое доктор.
But we know what is doctor, who is doctor, what is medicine, and we're going to speak about medicine and what is the role of cybersecurity in a modern medical industry. And I have Alexander Dubasov. Hello, Alexander, Deputy Director of the Central Scientific Research Institute of Organization and Informatization of the Healthcare. But it's easy for me to say that you're Ministry of Healthcare of Russian Federation.
Скажите, пожалуйста,
Alexander, tell me, please, according to statistics that I have in my company, medical facilities are amongst top companies which are attacked by hackers. Medicine is in top 3. Sometimes there are light movements into 4, 2.5, but amongst top 3. Why such a sustainable interest to the medicine? Maybe there are some trends you can share with us from the point of view of attackers.
Проявляется тем, что
Well, the interest is that
данные граждан,
medicine is personal data of citizens,
граждан не те, которые
and
являются
personal data of citizens not which is commonly acceptable, but one which is by legislation according to Law 152 to a specialized category of data, health condition.
и да, есть,
And yes, there's a significant number
скажем так, нехороших граждан,
of bad citizens who want to get access to patients,
тех, кто обращается за медицинской помощью,
to those who go for medical assistance in order to do illegal activities.
на эту тему.
There's a lot of fraudsters
Появляются, звонят такие случаи, есть,
which
фиксируются,
call to people. They are being
фиксируют.
surveilled, and law enforcement agencies are working with them, and citizens are calling us with these requests. And this is the topic. That's what's so interesting about it.
Незаконодательным
I hope
уровне сленга это
on a slang level, this is a sensitive data
что не каждый
because
готов делиться
not everybody is ready to share with the information that he or she owns.
Вчера разговаривали с
Yesterday, we've been discussing with other guests, and we've been talking about the story of personal data and the bigger attacks. We've remembered Yandex Foods. Everybody discussed that, well, we don't want to share our personal information about average ticket, address, etc., but in a given case, we are speaking about personal secret,
с точки зрения 320
personal information according to the law 323 about protection of health. This is a medical secret.
прописано в законе врачебная
This category is defined as a category as a medical secret, but according to the law 152, this is in Article 10.
состояние
It's a special category, health condition.
другой стороны, это вот следующая мысль, которая у меня есть в голове. Хотела узнать про то, какие
Also, I want to find out what are the consequences from the cyber attack against the industry and which are not allowable.
у меня обывательская
And, this is a basic amateur thought that comes to my mind. Yes, of course, they remove the personal data. Nobody have died. Nobody have died. This is not electrical nuclear power plant being exploded or a train which goes off-road. Just somebody will learn that somebody had a flu.
Знаете, с одной
One more time. From one side,
мы вот как безопасностью
we are security people being involved in the framework of the industry.
разделяем
We do not separate personal data, but by flu or non-flu,
с которыми обращался человек.
and diagnosis by diagnosis with which people came to the doctor. Because today it's a flu, tomorrow it's information about oncological disease, day after tomorrow
Информация о смерти
this is information about
много на эту тему.
death from some other disease, and we've been writing about it in mass media a lot about it, and they've been writing about how criminals are acting in this part, and they use
Поэтому я бы не
the awful situation of people.
персонально
So I would not separate personal data from this point of view.
является
For us, the key is one of the directions
персональных данных.
It's a protection of the personal data from the point of view of the prevention of their leakages,
Утечки не в смысле, что их
and not even leakages from the point of view that somebody will get them on the market, but even improper
опять же, по
transfer.
323 федеральному закону есть
Because according to the law 323, there's a medical secrecy concept and its description,
если про остальные недопустимые значения
but
говорить.
other inadmissible events, if we're going to speak about them,
По 187
we are subject to Federal Law 187,
критическую информационную инфраструктуру,
critical informational infrastructure, and the healthcare
значит,
has a lot of significant facilities,
и
important facilities, critical facilities, and some of those facilities are really sensitive.
самые системы мониторинга при
The
проведении
same monitoring system for surgeries. Yes, I wanted to say that every hospital, it's a very digital facility.
коллегами
Yes, I did see that we've been communicating with some
одного из наших подъездных
people
учреждений
from one of our departments about the security
мониторирования объектов.
and about category
Я,
of.
так как я раньше не был
And for me,
да, пришел
because I was not in a healthcare system, I came from another sphere, and for me,
неожиданным открытием, когда у нас аппарат
it was unexpected discovery when ultrasound device is used for the diagnosis discovery,
каких-то гипотез.
ultrasound test machine. The doctor sees, if he sees some difference, then he sends the patient for the secondary test.
Как мне мои коллеги подсказали,
But as my colleagues told me, there's a number of ultrasound devices which do monitoring
непосредственно в проведении операции.
during the surgery, and they are used to calibrate the actions of the doctor.
Тонкие границы.
So there are thin borders from this point of view. So from the point of view of inadmissible events, we do have a lot of them, and
Как вот сегодня Владимир,
as Vladimir
да, директор департамента,
Yangin, the director of
про
Department of the Ministry of Digital Telecom Ministry, was speaking about those inadmissible events, we also
недоуправлению,
are moving in this direction
определению этого вопроса. Но надо
to determine them. But we have to understand that inadmissible events will be ranked because there are inadmissible events on the level of specific medical facility. There are inadmissible events on the level of the subject of federation, region, because healthcare is in a joint control of the ministry and they are subject to the regions, regional authorities. Then we have departmental medical facilities, which are very big, like big medical centers, Blokhin, Bakuliv Center, Chazov Medical Center, Pirogov Medical Center, big scientific medical centers, where they have additional approach to these inadmissible events. And speaking about the next level, it's the industry itself. That's why we assume and look at options of forming some approach, and I cannot say that list of inadmissible events will be ready tomorrow, because this is a very deep and scrupulous work, and it depends not only on specific security or IT people, it depends on our medical community and scientific community as well, because they who are the owners of all the business processes from the point of view of medical experience, medical practices, and it's much closer to them to understand what is admissible or inadmissible. And from our side, we can help them to formulate and then develop complex of measures so that these inadmissible events would not be realized. That's why I think that we are moving in this direction. And I've been talking to my colleagues like all other industries. Some time ago, maybe last summer, you've introduced a concept of informational security for the industry. And it was looking at the story with these inadmissible events, or what is its main idea of this concept? Well, this is a main document from the point of view of the vectors of development, modernization, improvement, and in this concept, for the first time, we have confirmed and started stating that in the area of healthcare, we're going to create single, defended, protected security space.
Целевой наш показатель в этой
This is our target indicator from this point of view.
системе обеспечения информационной безопасности.
Single system of providing security in all healthcare system. Yes, this concept was approved by the Federal Department, Federal Security Department, STEC, the Ministry of Digital, Governmental Committee signed, Roshenko signed it, Minister of Healthcare in March.
Официально публиковали
We officially have
на сайте
moved it at the Ministry of Healthcare site. In March, we have approved it, and then we published it in June
Вот.
because it went through certain procedures. So this concept
Разбито, ну, кому будет интересно.
is divided into some sub-concepts.
И анализ того, что у
It
нас сейчас
is doing some analysis of what is available in the industry right now by IT and security, and then we define directions and vectors
каким направлением нужно
of
сейчас все вместе консолидировать
where
направление.
we all have to consolidate our movement. And this is done with the purpose so that we can build a single system within this concept. Right now, on the basis of this scientific center, we have created security center and software substitution from the Ministry of Healthcare. This is the first step that we're making this direction.
Заниматься в рамках этого центра
We are going to be involved within this center in a number of directions to standardize the industry. We don't have an objective
условно 17-21
of
приказа
taking
поменять
Decree 117 and 120 and replace the first page by approved by Ministry of Healthcare statement and then publish it in the industry. No,
плотная работа с
we're
регулятором.
not so formal. We do work with regulators in this direction, and our main objective
Отраслевой
is to take into consideration industrial specifics and to reflect additional measures on how to protect this information. And these industrial standards and methodological recommendations, we need them so that we all move in the same direction, so that medical organization would understand what has to be done,
Которые тоже есть.
because our integrators also are available. And it's not always they follow the mainstream of the basic set of measures provided by regulators.
Интеграторы понимали, что у нас медицинские учреждения
Integrators should understand that medical facilities do have documents they have to follow and understand what is to be done. And integrators and suppliers and manufacturers should understand
хранения внедряют.
that they will need to implement something in the Ministry of Healthcare. And Ministry of Healthcare from their side will understand
Эффективная защита информации, как
how
мы
the
выстраиваем эту всю
effective
систему.
protection of information is growing and how the system is being built, starting from building protection of specific endpoints, medical personnel, administrators, including computers and desktops of contractors, because as analytics say in all areas of healthcare, positive source which does the analytical information, they tell us that the trend and vector of attack is
Доверенность.
moving to the end points of trusted organizations,
которые на самом деле не всегда
trusted contractors with a not sufficient level of defense. So our main objective is to
по максимуму тонкости, которые
catch maximum amount of peculiarities related with the healthcare. And I have a question here, maybe extending or continuing this story. When you speak about
Защиту, про кибербезопасность, про
defense, protection, cybersecurity, about this concept, you operate with words Ministry of Healthcare, healthcare, contractors of the healthcare system, not only healthcare,
медицинских организаций, да.
contractors of medical organizations, but this is really clear segment of companies. Is it so limited? Because medicine and healthcare, they do not exist in vacuum. What other industries do you work in cooperation with? And the story of security should also cover other risks which are not exemplary for you. For example, during the standoff, Yesterday, we've been walking through this mock-up city, and he was showing to me, well, for example, if we're going to disconnect gas production here, the light will be disconnected out there, and down there, something else will break. And by themselves, the industries are different, but it's a common chain. So is there a similar story with you? What should be provided?
коллегами дискутировали на эту тему.
We've been discussing about it with colleagues.
Это чуть
Can you
шире, скажем так.
separate? Well, this is much wider.
Именно кибербезопасность я бы это расширил.
Cybersecurity, I would extend it, I would make it wider, because
Взаимодействие между разными.
we see relations between different industries.
Это на самом деле
We speak about some kind of a sustainability. It's not just a question about the healthcare system, but generally speaking, it's a question to
регуляторов, которые
the topic of those regulators who are above the healthcare system.
это уже совокупность. Да,
It's kind of a unity of industries. Yes, for the healthcare, it is critical to have logistic chains being operated.
объектов критической информационной
If you will look at the critical infrastructure, relatively speaking, we have
большинство томографов
CT
значимыми объектами.
devices. They are significant facilities, so we have to provide their protection from the point of view
Безопасности для
of security for patients.
критериев 127 постановления правительства,
We even have a
который идет
121st decree of the government, point number 1,
вреда жизни и здоровью.
damage to the health and life of a patient. Even from one patient,
Объект третьей категории.
it's a significant facility of the third category.
Не наяву связь, но взаимосвязь. Но
So
условно
this connection is not so obvious, but we should provide protection inside of our medical facilities. But if during production of this CT information was not protected,
код, к которому доступ
and inside of its source code, to which we don't have access in the Ministry of Healthcare, or to the motherboard that was manufactured, something was injected, we may not be able to see it. Yes, we will protect it, but
будет
if there will be, hypothetically, I'm just fantasizing,
в устройстве заложен при подъемном
If
механизме
in this device, in a lifting mechanism, when the patient is being lifted for calibration of the CT to make the CT image, and they will have bad quality material or certain peculiarity in a software,
момент.
and in a wrong moment it will break, it may not stop.
Поэтому это, да,
Which means,
производитель.
yes, it's also responsibility of manufacturer.
Вообще не является кем-то.
Ну, здесь тоже
But the manufacturer is also nobody.
есть у нас
It's a third-party story.
федеральная
Well, we do have a federal service, Roszdravnadzor, which controls the certification of medical devices. I'm not going to go into detail because I don't know peculiarities of their operation, but I know that medical devices, well, they do control their manufacturers of the medical devices. And we did have
назад,
some time ago,
наверное, март-апрель,
maybe March or April, from Roszdravnadzor,
письмо
we did have a letter
разъяснительное
with explanations and recommendations
с нашими
that were developed together with our colleagues, regulators, about how
в инфраструктуре
in
использовать
the infrastructure of hospitals we can use this medical equipment. How should we have remote access to it?
в этом
It was defined. And from this point of view, we do work in this direction. Recently, several years ago, I've heard that in universities where doctors are being trained in medical, I think it was a Pirogov University, in medical faculties, regular medical faculties, they have areas related with technologies, and they are training people who, from one side, have medical degree, and on the other side, they are system administrators. Are you supporting this or not? Because I'm speaking about this equipment which is installed in our hospitals. Same CTs that you've been speaking about, they have to be controlled, managed, supervised by somebody.
Значит,
What I know about this.
Сеченовского университета
Да.
On the basis of Sechenov University, this is First Medical University. There's an Institute of Digital Medicine. Yes, it was about them, not Pirogov.
там да, готовят айтишность направление.
They are training IT specialists. Now we are working on another topic to open specialist training of specialists in information security,
Под отрасль здравоохранения.
specifically for the healthcare, because there is certain specificity what makes them different, and there's a big need for them.
Мы и прорабатываем сейчас одно
That's why we are working in this direction.
пилотный проект.
This is still a pilot project
Открыть там направление.
to open this faculty in improving the qualification, professional retraining, and maybe
Эта история пойдет
if this story will be
результативной, то и бакалавриат.
very resultative, then maybe bachelor's
Что
degree.
мы хотим там сделать в этом направлении?
What do we want to do in this area? What thoughts do we have? Those who are going to be trained,
Брать как раз в отраслевой центр.
they will be trained by the Information Security Center, and they will be attracted to providing security in the projects in the framework of organizations in Moscow, direct organizations from the Ministry of Healthcare. This is going to give us not just theoretical knowledge they will get out there, but also specific practical realization on the basis of creating specific systems of defense in the organization. And what is important from the point of view of industrial center,
Это именно
they will see these from the point of view of management,
то есть
managing security in
появится
industry.
системный взгляд, и
Они
они
будут
будут
понимать,
понимать,
ради чего
They
они
will
делают.
have systematic approach. They will understand why they are doing this. They will understand what is this integral system, and they will understand that basically speaking, medical facility from one side,
отдельно взятые
legally it's a separate subject of legal relations. On the other side,
один из участников
it's
вот этой
one
большой
of the
системы.
participants of this
Сейчас
big
развивается
system.
очень активно электронная
Because right now we see development of electronic digital services in a healthcare system. That's why we should
взгляд безопасников именно на то, что
connect security people.
медицинских организаций это по большому счету
The situation that outside of the medical facilities we are moving to the service model. As business loves to speak, well, it's very hard to hear it from the Ministry of Healthcare, but basically speaking, yes, these are also digital services. So if we are trying to extend them, and we will not be able to do it
цифровизация, она
because digitalization did not come from nowhere.
к врачам
Even the same connection to the doctors, to the state services, I was never able to use it for some reason. I do it regularly. Well, for me, it doesn't work.
своих детей
I put my children in a doctor's queue very regularly and very easily through it.
стали еще дополнительные услуги.
Right now, there are some additional services
Вот нам
connected to these,
коллеги сейчас активно занимаются и
and colleagues are actively involved in birth certificates provided. And this is the right direction. Our colleagues doing good job in the direction of this IT. Very good, very convenient services,
простым гражданам
which we as regular citizens,
головной боли, чтобы пойти
we
взять где-то
have less headaches when you need to know.
еще.
You need to take some paper, medical paper, then bring it somewhere else. Well, the person got born, and when he's released from the maternity hospital, you will be able to receive this birth certificate in the hospital electronically. I will request, please forget that you are official,
Прям про все забыли. Представьте себе, что вы
and please
можете
imagine
профантазировать.
that you can fantasize and you can describe to us
Здравоохранение,
healthcare,
организации
medical organizations, digitalized, protected on a level dream in 5 years. How it's supposed to look like so that it would comply to your feeling, dream that I want to live in.
Через 5 лет тяжело, потому
Через
что
10.
мы концепцию писали.
It's hard to speak about 5 years. We've been writing midterm concept. It's like 10 years. Okay, 15. In 15 years from now.
Это, ну, с точки зрения, если
Well, from the point of view of security, I'm not going to speak about my colleagues. I'm not going to speak about citizen for whom it's going to be convenient to use, but from the point of view of security.
то, что бы мне хотелось видеть, как
What
человек,
I would like to see as a person who is involved in the security issues.
медицинский персонал,
When medical personnel,
младший медицинский
doctors,
персонал, значит,
nurses,
главврач, даже не задумываются о том,
hospital heads,
что есть
they
информационная
shouldn't
безопасность,
even
что надо
think
что-то
about
защищать.
such things as information security, that something should be protected, that something should be built, provided.
Я вот вижу о том, что
I
безопасность
see
просто
that
неотъемлемый
security
процесс
becomes a process by default
что
in
на
the
нее
business
не
processes,
обращают
that people
внимание
don't
как на
pay
отдельный
attention to it as a
процесс,
separate entity,
естественный
that
процесс,
this is a natural
и
process, and at
абсолютно
the
не
same
включает
time, it
наш
does not take attention of our medical potential and our medical personnel to their roles in a society to save lives and keep the health of other people protected. Well, I wish you the dream to come true, that in 15 years it would become like that, maybe even before. Let it be before. Yes, we're trying to do it before. So I was visited by Alexander Dubasov, Deputy Director of FGBU, Central Scientific Research Institute of the Organization and Informatization of the Healthcare Ministry, who knew and knows and will know everything about what should be the medicine from the point of view of its security. I would trust you. And you don't switch off. We are moving on. Thank you.